a thought came into my head, I can't do this anymore. So I finished the day out, yeah, and that was a struggle. Went home, told the wife, oh, you did what?
What's the story, everybody? Pete here from Thairish Times. Hope you're doing well out there. I just realised my microphone is broken, so I'm using the microphone from my phone, so sorry about that. Anyway, the show must go on. So my guest today, he's featured many times on the channel. His name is Paul Wallace. He spent 38 years in Thailand, and he's told lots of different stories on the channel, but one story he's never told is about his life in Bangkok, what life is like for him in Bangkok, because he's not living in Sukhumvit in central Bangkok, surrounded by, you know, Western culture and big skyscrapers and McDonald's and Burger King. No, he's out in the boonies, out in the outskirts of Bangkok, and he's going to talk today what life is like for him out there. And then he's also going to get into a story that I can relate to as well, the 2011 floods in Bangkok. Back in 2011, Bangkok was underwater for like 4 or 5 months. The home I was staying in was in Sukhothai. That's where I was living at the time, which is like halfway between Bangkok and Chiang Mai. The home I was living in there was flooded for about maybe 2 months solid of just water, about a meter high. It was an awful experience, but when I look back on it, it was a great adventure as well. So anyway, we're going to get into that, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's get straight into the video. Hit that like button, share the video if you can, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Let's get into it. Paul, great to see you again.
And you, Pete. And you. Been a long time.
So right, Paul, a lot of people have asked in the comment section over the 6 or 7 or 8 videos that we've done, they've asked, where does this guy live? I want to know where he lives. And so there's an interest in your kind of life in Bangkok, and it's something that we've never touched on. So can you give us, well, basically, tell us where do you live in Bangkok?
Okay. I live halfway between Minburi and Nong Jok. And we are probably about, as the crow flies, about 10 kilometers from the main Suvarnabhumi airport. I'm on the direct flight path. So I can look up and go, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, wheels down, and down they come.
How long have you lived in this part of Bangkok?
17 years we've lived in the same village, same house.
17 years, right, okay.
We were here in 2011 when the big flood, we had a big flood here. You remember that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was brand new to Thailand then.
Yeah.
What, was this whole area flooded?
The whole area, yeah. About a week before, you know, the government were making noises about, oh, you know, we're maybe going to get a deluge of water for a while coming through, and it even got to the point where my neighbours were building little breakers out the front of their porch, you know, out of cement and bricks and stuff like that. And I didn't think too much of it, you know. And this was when Thaksin's sister, what's her name? I can't remember her name now.
Shinawatra? Thaksin's?
Yeah,
Shinawatra.
Thaksin's sister. She was PM. And the TV was on in the background, and I heard her say in Thai, people of Minburi and Nong Jok, prepare yourselves for 1 meter of water. And I'm like, oh, wow. So I went out down the hardware shop, you know, bought some silicone, some future board, and boarded up the front and back doors, and even jacked up my pickup truck onto bricks. And then the next day it started, but it didn't come from up there, it came from the drains. Slowly and slowly and slowly it got up to more, and it got to the point where I couldn't jack my truck up any higher because of the roof of the house. You know, there was an arch there. So I had to make the decision of, what do I do? Do I leave the truck where it is and hope that we don't get any more water, or do I try and get it out? And one of my mates came to see me. At that point, he waded through the water, walked down to my place and said, I've just seen a truck like yours get out of the village. So that's what we did. We turned off the air, and very, very slowly, and it was all halfway up the door, the water. We very, very slowly drove out, and once I got it out, I left it on one of the bridges where all the other people were leaving their cars. We had 18 days of 1 meter of water. The dog, we had one dog then, right? For the dog to have a dump, we had a little big plastic tub, the one they mix the cement in, you know, and we had to put the dog in there and push the dog down to the end of the road. There was a little bit of dirt above the ground, and the dog would go and shit there, you know. Yeah, it was a strange situation. But you know what amazed me was the Thai people, they dealt with it like it was normal. Every day we'd have a big army truck come down our soy, and it went to every soy in the village with all the loudspeakers going, and they would throw you a bag with 2 kilos of rice in it, you know, half a dozen tins of pilchards, you know, fish, a box of Tampax, they thought of everything, you know. And yeah, and even the motorcycle taxi guys, they went from motorcycles to boats, and they would pull you with the rope over their shoulder. They would pull you all the way to the front of the village, and that's quite a way, as you could.
Were they still charging the same price, or did they up the price?
Same price, price, and all the buses in the area they weren't charging anybody. And so the amazing thing for me was to see how resilient the Thais were and how they could deal with it. You know, they really had no problem with it at all. And it lasted 18 days. Yeah, and then it subsided away, and all the neighbours came out, and we hosed all the streets down, and we had a big outdoor party to celebrate. Yeah, it was a strange experience.
So you said you've been living there for 17 years.
Yeah.
How are you treated living in that housing complex or housing estate as a foreigner?
Part of the furniture, I suppose. I get the odd guy who'll come to me and want to know, how does he say this in English, or what does that mean, you know. But yeah, there's 550 houses on that estate. And yeah, I've got to know a lot of the stray dogs. I go see them every morning, you know, wherever they happen to be, and I whistle them and they come out, and I don't feed them. They all get fed. I just give them a bit of affection, you know, which they really love. And yeah, I go out on my bike at 5:30 in the morning, just as it's getting light. And I do that before I take the dogs for a walk. And this one particular day, round the corner from my house, the street, it's got jungle on either side. Well, jungle and wasteland. And I came round the corner on my bike, and I'm looking straight down the road there, and about halfway down, it looked like there was a tree across the road. And I thought, that's strange. And as I get closer to it, I realise it's not a tree, it's a snake. And I'm not joking, it's that fat. The road is 5 meters wide. I can't see the head nor the tail of the snake. It's just laying across the road, this huge snake. As I'm there like that, a guy coming the other way is walking with his wife for their early morning walk, and they have a stick, you know. He's coming along, and he gets to where you are from me now, and I just point, and he went, and he touched it with his foot, and he went, boom, gone. Straight into the long grass, gone. But it was huge. So now, since that day, my wife thinks I'm crazy, by the way, for this, but I take a pocket knife with me every time I take the dogs for a dump, because that's where they go. Because I know the snake's there, and I know it could take me, you, or the dogs. And if it got hold of one of the dogs, I've got about 3 minutes before the dog will be dead, because it takes the snake a while to get its grip. You know, and once a big constrictor gets its grip, then it just holds you and waits for you to exhale, and then it squeezes a little bit tighter. You know, that's what they do. And with a knife, you know, you could save the dog. I could save the dog. And my wife thinks I'm crazy, but you know, I don't think I'm crazy at all. What would I do if it got my dog and I've got no knife? What would it do? I got no time to go home and get the knife. I'm not fighting with a serpent of that size.
And would the people in the village not go in and try and find it?
Well, no, it's funny you should say that. I don't talk to the guy who saw it with me and his wife, but I had a witness. So a couple of months after that, I'm buying lottery tickets at that roundabout there. And some other guys come over and said, yeah, you know, I've heard all about this snake you've been talking about. Crazy, it's not, no way is it that big. And just as he said that, who'd come along? But the other guy who saw it. And I just said, go talk to him. And he did. He came back, he says, I said, yeah. He said, well, that could eat you. I said, could eat me, yeah. Huge thing. And I talked to one guy who knows a lot about the snakes. He says it's about 30 years old, he would think. And it eats probably once every 6 to 8 weeks. And it will take stray dogs, it will take chickens, it will take cats. But at that size, yeah, it could take a human, an adult, it could.
So people probably think that when you say you're living in Bangkok, that you're living in a kind of a built-up area. Would you call this area built up?
No, this is a green belt. This is a green belt. It's developed a lot since I moved in. That big main road that we come down with the concrete in the middle, that used to be just one-lane traffic, one way. And there's housing estates being built everywhere, but it's still really nice and green out here. I pay 3,000 baht a month for my house.
That's nothing. That is nothing.
Absolutely, yeah. We're buying it at last. We had a problem with that because my son, he works for himself. And so he could never get a home loan because, you know, he can't show pay slips and stuff like that, even though he makes good money. But now his brother, my other son, has got a job as a VIP taxi driver at the airport, and he gets pay slips. So we're now in a position to go ahead and buy it, which we shall do. And the boys will stay in the house with the dogs, and me and my wife will go live at the farm. That's
the farm, so you're going to retire. Which part of Thailand is that?
Khoo Khan. It's northeast, Isan. It's about 50 kilometers before you hit Sisaket. It's in Sisaket province. Beautiful place up there. I really like it up there. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to going there.
And this area around here, it's predominantly a Muslim area, is it?
Predominantly Muslim. They're all nice people. It's a great community. They are very community-minded. You know, there's always keep fit stuff going on in the main area of that village there. Yeah, they get on.
How about bars and restaurants? Bars, not so many?
No, there's a couple in Minburi, I think. Lots of restaurants. Yeah, but now the BTS has arrived in Minburi. I don't know how long it is before they open the line, but soon. And so that's going to change a lot. House prices will go up for sure. Yeah, to be able to jump on a sky train at Minburi and go straight into the centre of the city.
And your Thai is pretty good, isn't it? You're well able to hold a conversation. I've heard you speak it.
Yeah, I'd say I'm 95% fluent. I would say, yeah.
And how have you learned over the years?
Well, obviously living and working with Thais was the one thing. I had that 1 year living in the south where I couldn't speak English for a whole year, and that was my foundation, if you like. And then I got a job at a school where they had foreign educators come to train the teachers, and so I got lumped with the job of translator. So I learned a lot of words that you wouldn't normally use, you know, technical words and words connected with education and all that. And I can't imagine what it would be like living here without being able to speak the language. My advice to anybody, if you're going to come and live here, is embrace the language, because, you know, it's so much easier to get stuff done, and you get to know the Thai people. Yeah. Thai's hard. It's a hard language for us to learn because it's phonetic. It's got all these tones, you know. Grammar's pretty simple. There's no past, future, or present tense. You just add a word that depicts the time, you know. Yeah, it's a difficult language for Westerners to master, but I mean, I know some guys who've been here 25 years and outside of ordering their food, they couldn't speak Thai, and I find that difficult.
I think a lot of people maybe are not interested to learn. Yeah. I know there's like a comfort zone you can fall into where you might have a partner and she might speak. You translate through her and stuff like that, you know. But how about police in this area? Have you ever had any issues with the police living around here? Are the police okay, or immigration and all that kind of stuff?
Never had a visit from immigration. You know, I've always gone prepared whenever I've had to do my visa and all that.
Checkpoints from police around the place?
I got to know a few Nong Jok cops once, and they have an underground gambling casino in Nong Jok, and they invited me down there, and I said no. I didn't want to get to know these guys, you know. I've had not many dealings with the Thai cops, really. Been lucky. Always very polite whenever you meet them, you know. And, yeah. They busted a couple of kids in our soy last year over drugs. Big SWAT team down there, the flashing lights and all that. Just for a couple of guys who smoked the orange pills, you know. That's a big problem here, amphetamine.
In the local areas?
In Thailand. It's a
okay.
big problem. Yeah. And the Thais don't take it for the high factor. They take it because they can work all the time, you know. Drivers, taxi drivers, manual workers, yaba they call it. The
crazy drug.
Yeah.
So it's pretty common around here?
Yeah, I was into it for a while. I quit when Thaksin Shinawatra declared his war on drugs and all those people got killed. I quit then because I thought,
what year was this?
Going back to about 2003, maybe.
What was the war on drugs? They were basically trying to eradicate drug use.
I think what happened is cops and drug dealers kind of have a relationship, if you know what I mean. You know, they do. Not just, oh, we're out to catch you and you're trying to get away. They have a relationship. So when Thaksin came in and did that, I think what happened was the cops decided that they couldn't take the risk of their connections getting caught and telling what they're doing. So I think a lot of people were snuffed out so that doesn't happen. Yeah. A couple of thousand, I think, were killed in 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, I remember reading about it. How about police, or how about jails around here? Any local jail around here?
There's a remand jail in Minbury, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't fancy doing any time in there. You know.
Did you ever meet a foreigner that was spent any time in a Thai prison?
Yes, I met a guy once who did a year and a half. Yeah, and I know another guy was locked up for one night for being drunk and disorderly.
The guy for a year and a half, was that drug related?
Yes. He got caught in a sting. The guy he bought it off set him up. Yeah, I think he had 2 pills when the cops got him. They got him as he walked out of this dealer's house because the dealer had told him, you know, when he comes out, and he paid a lot of money to just get a year and a half. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be going to jail in Thailand. It's a god-awful place. Well, you interviewed Billy, didn't you? Is it Billy Moore?
Billy Moore, yeah.
Yeah, Billy Moore. I mean, ooh. I don't know how many years he spent here. How many years did he spend here? 7, 8?
I think he did.
Sent back.
Yeah, he did. I don't know. He did a couple of years anyway in a Thai prison. He was sent back. Yeah, but that was a crazy story. But anyway, back onto your life here in Bangkok, right? Your morning routine. What's the story with your morning routine?
I do my dog run. I know. I've made friends with quite a few of the dogs, the stray dogs, and so I go to the area where one will be, and I get off my bike and I whistle, and he'll come running along, you know, and I'll spend time with him, and then I get back and I take my dogs out for a walk, and do that, and then when I get back to the house, it's kind of work for me. Work. Wait, so I don't think it's work, but I suppose technically it is. You know, I like to write, so yeah.
People are probably watching this now, wondering what do you do for work?
Yeah, I'm a web content writer. Yeah, I write blogs for SEO agencies, and yeah, I've been doing that for 7 or 8 years now.
Before that, you were teaching for 25
years. I was teaching everything from kindergarten to grade 12. And yeah, that was an awesome experience, you know, becoming a teacher and learning how to be good at that. And yeah, I enjoyed my teaching until the day I didn't, and then I quit. You know, it just suddenly, one day, halfway through a class, a thought came into my head, I can't do this anymore. So I finished the day out, yeah, and that was a struggle. Went to see the principal and just told her, I said, hey, I'm really, really sorry, but my heart's not in this anymore, and that's the way I am. And, oh, Mr. Paul, we love you, we don't want you to go at all. Sorry. Went home, told the wife, oh, you did what? I said, don't worry about it, I'll become a writer and I'll make more money than I did as a teacher. And within 6 weeks, I was already doing that.
Did you already have a plan in your head to know like that you're going to write, or you already had that? You already knew, yeah.
Well, I didn't know I could get work, but I figured why not, you know. And yeah, I answered an ad and got a start and got better at it and been there ever since. Yeah.
Yeah, you've lived an unusual life, Paul. Like just everything you've done. You know, leaving, I think you were 28, 29 when you first moved over here. Yeah. You've been in, like, it's not central Bangkok you're living in. It's a rural part of Bangkok. It's on the very, it's the far end, out near the airport. It's a quiet life. Well, it's not too quiet. I mean, it's a big area. There's people all around, but there's not that many foreigners around here.
No, there aren't. More now than there used to be, but yeah, there was a time when I would go to a market and I wouldn't see any foreigners. Now I see a few. Yeah, it's you know, Pete, I think with my life, I since I was 16, I decided to throw it all open and leave myself at the mercy of the universe. And it's a very special feeling, you know. Some people will maybe not understand this, but when I was living and traveling in Europe, backpacking, everything I owned was on my back, yeah. And when I'd wake up in the morning, I wouldn't know where I'm going to sleep that night. I wouldn't know where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do, who I'm going to meet. I knew absolutely nobody, and I was as free as a bird. And that's a wonderful feeling. It's a wonderful feeling. And a couple of years of that and you're invincible. You know, I felt invincible. There was nothing I couldn't do. Come to Thailand with a couple of £100 in my pocket and nothing, yeah, sure, why not? And it worked out. The universe has always been there for me. And I'm a great believer in the law of attraction. You know, I think good stuff. I love everybody and everything. And my life's pretty amazing. I wouldn't swap it with anybody. I love it. And like I say, you know, I've got my exit plan. So when my body reaches the point where it's too uncomfortable, I shall take the leap into the unknown. Well, it is the ultimate adventure when you think about it, isn't it? Because we all have to face that point. And I know that it's not the end. I know that. I just don't really know what it's going to be like. So, yeah, half of me is saying, bring it on. And the other half is saying, no, not yet. You know, you've got a few more years in you yet.
Would you consider writing a book on your life?
Oh, I kind of did, you know, my travel book. That's really kind of it. I don't know, I could write another book about stuff I've learned in my lifetime, and you know, how blissful I am right now. I don't know. We'll see.
You should do it, man. I think people will be interested in exploring that or reading that. Well, look, Paul, we'll leave it there. It's been a pleasure, and you know, there's stories left in you yet, you know?
There are. I've forgotten most of my life, Pete, to be honest with you. I've probably forgotten 90% of my life. But that's probably down to weed and other things, you know, in excess. But I'm a happy chappy now, you know? I couldn't wish for a better life than I have. And yeah, it's great.
Well, I do. It's been a pleasure, right, to interview you and do all those interviews that we've done.
Yeah, we've done a lot now.
We've done a lot. Yeah, you've covered so many stories over the whole, I think, was April last year when you first contacted me, and
that's right.
You've done a lot since then.
Yeah.
But look, all the best to you, man. And I know you've been talking about you feel like the end is near and all that. There's plenty more life left in you. When I saw you today, you still have the same energy. You haven't changed now in the last year and a half since I've seen you. You still have that bright spark in your eye, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't have any impending doom thoughts that, you know, something's going to happen to me real soon. But I know it's coming one day, and I'm okay with it. And just hope it doesn't take too long and it's quick, you know, and painless.
Well, don't go yet.
It's on to the next chapter.
I'll be back for more interviews in the future with you.
Great. I look forward to that.
Well, look, as always, I'll leave your links for your books, your book there in the description, so you can check it out. Get on Amazon, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks a lot, Pete. That's
no worries. And thanks very much, folks. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Leave us a comment. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And take care of yourselves. Cheers.
Cheers for getting this far in the video, folks. I really appreciate it. So I have an announcement to make for the channel. So I decided to set up channel memberships. So if you want to support the channel, there's now a way to do it. So what am I going to offer for that? I'm not just going to take your money. I want to provide some kind of value. So what I'll do is I'm going to do members live streams where we all jump on a live stream, have a couple of beers, talk Thailand, have a bit of fun. So I'll do those. I'll also do behind the scenes at Thairish Times. I've never discussed publicly the details of like what it takes to make these videos. How do you actually create the questions? How do you find the people? How do you get a big video on YouTube? How does it all work? How does the YouTube machine work? So we'll get into that as well. I'll be doing vlogs out and about. And then I've told many other people's stories. You know, I interview people all the time and hear their stories, but I haven't really got many of my stories out there after 12 years in Thailand. I've got loads of stories, loads of things to talk about. So I want to put those as well for the members. And, you know, if you're not interested in that, absolutely no problem. The channel will still continue. I'll still be doing interviews. I'll still be uploading videos. So if that's not your thing, no problem. Anyway, folks, cheers. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.